In this video, I actually wanted to describe my classroom. My classroom would be a Setting 3 DCD classroom. This means that students spend at least 60% of their day, their school day, in my classroom. And here's a brief description of my students. Now, before I go, I used really generic names because I just couldn't think of anything else. So first of all, we have Sally. Sally is wheelchair bound and has a traumatic brain injury. She has very low verbal skills. However, she's very social and loves attention, and she is a sixth grader. Next, we have Jason. Jason is developmentally delayed. Jason is a seventh grader who actually just became verbal and just started speaking this summer before he came between sixth grade and seventh grade. And so his speech skills are still lower, but he is now verbal. Next, we have Austin, who has Down syndrome. He's an eighth grader who's mostly independent. However, he has had FBAs done to him in the past, not in my classroom, but in elementary school. And then next we have Rachel. Rachel is on the autism spectrum. She's an eighth grader, and she struggles with social skills. Here we go. All students do have paras, and we also work with an SLP to really work on those verbal skills that some of the students struggle with that I was mentioning before. Now, why did I actually choose DCD? I chose to do like a DCD classroom and a Setting 3 DCD classroom because, first of all, I think I could make a really big difference in these kids' lives. I grew up, my mom actually works as a school nurse at Oak Grove Middle School in Bloomington, and she works very closely with a lot of DCD students. She helps with like tube feedings and things like that. And she really knows the special education staff really well there. And so I grew up just always volunteering in that DCD classroom, and I really liked it. And I really liked working with the students. I thought they were just awesome and fantastic. And then, I got into this program here, and I was kind of thinking more along the lines of specific learning disabilities, but then I went to Mrs. Stevermore's class, and that really just rejuvenated, I don't know if that's a word, but I'm just going to go with it, my love for DCD and working with these kids. And I realized that I could really, I could take the things that I've learned in college, and I can really help these kids out and help them have a more successful future. Why I wanted a self-contained classroom is because I just really like the idea of building a class and working with the curriculum around my own schedule rather than with some of these resource rooms and kind of these more pull-out settings. You're kind of more working around other people's settings, and I saw it in some of my field experiences, really great teachers who did this stuff, by the way. But just that frustration and that constantly having to coordinate with other people, I didn't really like the idea of doing that. That's where I really wanted to do a self-contained classroom. And I also just think it's just easier in some ways to build more of a relationship with your students in a self-contained classroom, just because they're going to see you every single day and they're going to be in your classroom for the majority of the day, if not all of the day. So I really like that idea, and that is why I decided to do it that way.